Okay, 20 to 7 in the morning on Friday morning the 30th, and I'm on my way to Kooljaman, which is up on the Dampier Peninsula, and it's at the very top. It's called Loon. However, I found out that because of this COVID thing, most of the Aboriginal communities where you can usually pop in have been restricted, severely restricted. So I can only go to the place where I have been booked into, which is Kooljaman, and another place called the Signet Bay Pearl Farm for a trip if I want to. So we'll see as we go up the road. Well, we're now on the, to me, quite infamous Broome to Cape Leveque road, which my last trip up here, my old Landy Bob blew up his clutch completely and the clutch fork, and I ended up coming back this whole road with no clutch, which was a pretty scary experience. They tell me that the worst stretch, which is 89 kilometres, has been completely sealed, so it's going to be interesting to see. We'll find out in a few minutes' time. I don't know what all these things are at the side of the road. Looks like piles of elephant dung to me. Maybe it's water buffalo dung. This is a section that obviously hasn't been attended to yet. Side of the road, so it's tree mulch. Pretty good. Well, this is really something. This this used to be what I consider to be the worst section of road in Australia. It was 89 kilometres of pure hell, corrugation, sand, dust, and it's just been transformed. This is amazing, and it has 110 km/h speed limit on it. Crikey, what an improvement in 4 years. That truck was ahead of me and he's just turning off into a side road there. This is absolutely amazing. I can't believe the difference in this road, how it used to be and how it is now. It's an absolute pleasure to drive on. Fantastic. Whoever put up the money, congratulations. Yeah, we're down to a 60 limit. Okay. For the Dampier Peninsula to be spending all this money on this particular road. I think I picked the right time to come up, because they're only, there's another water tanker. I think they're just getting into the day. I think I'm now on the old paved section of road, which extends all the way up to Loon. And if I Such beautiful country here and so quiet. See up this road is caravans. It's a caravan free road because there's nowhere for them to apparently to camp. Certainly not at Kooljaman. Camper trailers are okay, but not caravans. There's a first. I just passed a little plantation of what looked to be pandanus, and unfortunately by the time I hit the button on the GoPro we've missed them. I'll see if I can get them again when they turn up. I haven't come across any more pandanus, strangely enough. It was just one little sort of almost like a little tiny plantation, but anyway, this is quite a beautiful road to drive on. I remember from 4 years ago I was really impressed with the vegetation, how it really, it's so lush and green and inviting. It's a pleasurable road to drive on. Bit of roadkill. I see off to my left some water holes and water still lying on the ground. And this is just like a little floodplain. Amazing how the vegetation changes. This is a place I called into 4 years ago called Jaringen. It's a Jaringen community, and they evidently now have a 24-hour roadside thing. Whoa, yeah, look at this, man. Welcome to my good country. All visitors are required to report to the office. Well, I'm going to have a cup of coffee because there is the fuel stop over there. It's actually supposed to be a roadhouse, but I don't know what they're doing here. Coffee time. Well, how things change. This is the Jaringen community. This is a new 24-hour roadhouse, apparently, but it's closed. I'm going to have a wander over there because there's the fuel bowsers. Apparently, maybe it's one of these ones where you can put your card in. So this is how you can get your fuel 24 hours. It's a typical card thing, diesel and unleaded. So there you go, excellent. And I shall return to my car and my coffee. It's actually very well set up because it also has an air pump, an automatic air pump, which I've actually just used, and this is very impressive, really good. The only drawback, of course, is that the actual roadhouse itself is currently closed. I lied about the caravans. I've just seen two, and I think this is another one, and I understood that caravans were not permitted, certainly at Kooljaman, and I don't know where else they can be staying. Anyway, there's rules for some, there's rules for others, as they say. It's hard to know what to believe these days, actually, because people seem to make their own frickin' rules as they go along. Well, that came on me fairly quickly, the turn off. I wasn't expecting it. So welcome to Kooljaman at Cape Levique. I'll go into four-wheel drive and we'll go down the track. That's what we do. There's a freaking convoy. I'm just going to go. This is the track that I came back with in Bob the Land Rover with no clutch. Oh, does that bring back memories now? Yeah. two-wheel drive vehicle and you get stuck, they charge you an arm and a leg, I tell you, when you get online. That's a big oggie. builds up in the middle, and and this is my unpowered, unshady camp spot, and it's stinking hot, but hey, I can't complain. These are the areas. It's very ill-defined, but I think the black lines on the poles means that's the extent of your camping area, and I don't think that I would actually fit my whole car in horizontally, if you like, along this area, so I've chosen to back in as I would normally, and now I'm going to go through the whole rigmarole of unpacking. Fortunately for me, that's the restaurant right next door, and we look down onto these red cliffs, and they're the beaches. You can actually drive down to the beaches, but there's a boardwalk apparently, so that's what I'll be doing, because once I set up camp I won't be breaking it for 3 nights. Well, I've done the deed. I have set up camp. It's incredibly hot, at least 32 degrees Celsius according to my telephone, but I think it's a bit hotter than that. As I say, there's no shade, but hey, look at the view. Everybody else, energetic souls, seem to have taken a walk and gone down to the beach. Not this fellow. Noel Coward once said, "Only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun," and it's midday. And this person of Scottish heritage is not going anywhere near the sun. I shall wait until the sun is going down or is coming up in the morning before I do my touring. I think that's a sensible thing to do. Perhaps an even more sensible thing to do would be to sit here all day and drink beer. But to give you an example, my car fridge has been set on -3 degrees since I left, and everything's been perfect. And driving up this road this morning, it must have really been under strain, because when I finally got here, and the fridge was still turned on by the way, when I got here it was sitting at 6 degrees, +6 degrees, and the frozen stuff that's in there is no longer frozen. It's still cold, obviously, but that's just a measure of how hot it is in this part of the country and how quickly it can get hot. It's only now about 5 or 10 past 12, and I left at well, before 7 o'clock, I think I said on the introduction. So that's how hot it is, and as I sit here I cannot, I've just got the sweat dripping off me. I've got a handkerchief that's absolutely soaked. You may have seen in an earlier shot that I have a shirt hanging up which I just rinsed out because it was absolutely soaking with sweat. It is so hot here. So I won't be doing very much until the late afternoon, I can tell you. Okay, well, it's 4:30, it's about an hour before the sun sets. I'm actually set up ready to cook dinner, but it's way too hot to even do anything yet. Might wait for an hour. A lot of people use these gazebos and just have a swag on the ground. And I can't help but think that that's probably an easier way if you're young and can do it. And the sun sets slowly in the west. As all us little campers are doing our dishes and our nightly chores. At least I am.
I got bad things to do. This is a piece of paper. I don't read things on the computer. I print them and then I read them. All day, every day. I know you do. How you look? And get her off.
Excited. It was like that big, and I was like,
Well, it's 6:09 and it's Saturday the 1st of May 2021, and I'm having a walk down the track towards Western Beach at Cape Leveque. And the reason that I'm going so early is that it is so hot during the day, you really can't do anything. So we'll see what happens when we get down to the bottom. The minimum temperature overnight didn't drop below 24, and it's about 24 right now apparently. It expected to go to at least 32 for the next few days, so not very pleasant when you haven't got air conditioning, but hey, that's what I'm here for, isn't it? No entry to the cliff top area. Obviously has some significance to the traditional owners. Weird. All of a sudden you go from red sand to white sand. Ha! Look at that. This area is occupied by the Jaringen and Loon communities who actually own Kooljaman. They're traditional owners of this whole peninsula apparently. And no swimming on this beach, maybe because of the danger of crocodiles. Sandstone cliffs. And now we have sort of mossy green coloured rocks leading up to this next piece of sandy beach. Quite similar to Kwandong Point. I think most of the coastline up this side is very similar. The red cliffs, the rocks and the white sand. They must have monstrous tides up here because this is a tide line. You can see where it's come up at from time to time, right to the base of the cliff basically. And that's a fairly significant rise and fall of water. Not sure how much, but it's got to be 5-6 metres. All these sort of lines of dirt and the sand, you can see wavy lines. That's where the tide has been at some stage. Now we're going to turn the corner, I think, into the sunshine. So we're leaving Western Beach and we're now heading around towards Eastern Beach into the sun. Now you get the full impact, the full red fury of the colour. I guess I'm fortunate because I'm following the trail of a couple who followed me and then passed me. And they're walking barefoot. I've got my runners on. But it's still pretty treacherous underfoot to find your way through. Hasn't been long since the water was up here, it's still flowing. I believe that is actually called Kooljaman or Kooljaman, that little island over there. I don't know if you can see, but when I move, there are all of these insects. They're actually, you could sort of say they're like cockroaches. And there are hundreds of them. Now they're all going to go away. If you see, you'll see lots of movement. There, look. Hope that's picking that up. Weird. And anyway, we're about to go around the corner, and I can see in the distance some of these beach shacks that they rent out at Kooljaman to give you the authentic experience. We'll go a bit closer. Colour of the cliffs is a little bit different around here. Maybe that's the influence of the sun rising every morning and fading them. And up there you can see the pandanus clinging. I think they're pandanus anyway. Little spiky leaves like palms. So these are the beach shacks. This is where I would have stayed 4 years ago had I not broken down with Bob. Don't they look cute? But you need your four-wheel drive to get down there, and I couldn't have done it. Apparently you can swim on this beach, but mind you, you'd have to go out a long way to get away from the rocks. And then we have a glam tent, I think. Well, I think I'm going to find my way home now. I think I'm at the extent of the track. Yep, there's a road. Oh, I think that's the road back to camp, hopefully. Oh, I'm puffing now. Okay, now I'm walking a different track back up to the camp, which could be God knows how far away. There's a little shelter. I think this is the track I have to take. Oh my, it's uphill too. I think I'll go this way, Dinka's Cafe and Shop. This is Dinka's, apparently. Cafe and Shop. I changed my route because I was told there was a boardwalk, and here it is, a shortcut. I'm all for shortcuts. This is the back of Dinkus. Oh, this is better. It's nice and cool, shady. Why don't we have a little look out here? Oh, isn't this pretty? Better than walking up a sandy track, let me tell you. Eucalyptus tree. Oh, what's this? Civilization. Oh, there's glamping. Oh yeah, very swish. That's for campers who don't like to camp. Ah, down to the powered camping area. Wonderful. Means I'm not that far from home. Good morning. Home sweet home. Okay folks, well now we've done the full circle, because there's the entrance that I took off at in 6:10 to the western beach, and now I'm back. Ooh, Twinkie. Well, I just came over to the cafe to actually partake of some breakfast, but it turns out that they're having a problem with their hot water system and we can't have breakfast. So I guess I'll have to go and cook my own. Ah, pity. I'm about to have a Barra burger and chips on table 22 at Kooljaman restaurant. And I know I need to take my hat off at the table. And I will. Sunset night 2. I've had a rearrangement because I'm leaving in the morning, and these mornings it's quite damp, so I've actually packed up the tent and I'm going to set up the stretcher tent under my awning, and that should be sufficient. The other factor is that it's so hot here that I figure the stretcher tent without the cover on it will probably be a lot cooler for me. Wish me luck. So this is it set up. Truth will be known by tomorrow morning. Anyway, we can only try. Well, it's a very damp sort of morning in Kooljaman. We're just leaving now to head back to Broome, and hopefully a little bit of shopping, and then we'll go to Wilea, camp overnight there. Oh crikey, this is unbelievable. I just got out to clean the windscreen, and as soon as I got out, my glass is all fogged up. It's absolutely, it's like coming from, well, I've got the air conditioner on, but it's crazy. Oh, I forgot to unlock my hubs. My glasses keep fogging up. Holy, 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 holy. Ranges are burning off. I can see some smoke down here in the distance. This is apparently a good time for them to burn the bush. And they're the people who should know. They've been here for 60,000 years, according to new research. I said earlier in one of the pieces that this area appears to be going to become quite a hotbed of tourism. I noticed as we were coming down, and I didn't put it on video, but there is an airport at Jaringen, and there was a cleared area for obviously to build a new building, a huge, whether they're going to revamp that roadhouse, which wasn't there when I came through the last time. But they obviously, the Dampier Peninsula is going to be big in tourism, so keep that in mind when you're planning your next holiday. It's just a pity that COVID has knocked a lot of things on the head, because the WA government have put out a website about COVID, about all the Aboriginal communities, and I looked at it last night. There are literally hundreds of communities up here, and virtually all of them are closed down. And Kooljaman, or Cape Levique, is an administration, or it's a joint venture from the Jaringen and the Ardialoom communities. But strangely enough, there was only one Aboriginal person working in the reception at Kooljaman, and I suspect that's because of COVID. All the other staff members were Europeans. And with that little lesson, we'll leave the Dampier Peninsula and we'll go on to the next little adventure. Of course, before we leave the Dampier Peninsula, we have to experience the fog, because all of a sudden it's just got foggy. Couple of roos. Oh. They were at the body of one that's obviously just been killed. Poor things. I'm really impressed with this new 89-kilometre section of road that they've put in. Previously, when I came up in the Land Rover 4 years ago, I would have been dodging all over this to the left and the right, trying to find a way through the corrugations. And I've been thinking about the impact of this road, and then it struck me, it's not so much about tourism here that they put this road in. It's because of the oil and gas facility that they want to put in at James Price Point, which is a little bit north of Quandong Beach, because anyway, we'll leave that now. We're about 83 kilometres from Broome, and then we'll start the next section. I'm going to go to Broome, do some shopping,